Okay, so this is place stage 1, and you've heard all the video explanations about why this is useful, and you can take it anywhere. But in the house, you'll get your place away with you, and it's raised so that they know that they're actually in a learning situation. But you can just have a wee towel or whatever and practice in the house, and then when you take him out, he'll be very familiar with what you're asking him. Okay, so we're going to just run through the process of this. Bailey, it's not your turn. We pause on stage 1. Place. Good. And just like threshold, this is my feet. So he's learned. This is his nice relaxing place. And then you can see he's done his. It's quite interesting. Let's go when you're working with dogs that have done a bit of work, because they'll point out the bits that they've not done. When I've had him working with Tavish's mum, for instance, she did a bit and she tried to get him to do something. I said, "You've not done that bit yet." He was very fluent in the bits that he had learned there. So I'll do it once more. Place. Good. And you just anchor yourself here in the middle and share your kind of nice, calm energy.
And you press the button at the same time as the place command.
Yes. And when his fourth paw goes on, you say good and you release the button at the same time.
Okay, so you don't release until the fourth leg's on.
That's right, at this point in the training with the e-collar. Let's go! He loves to work. Loves to work. So who's up first for this?
I'll do it.
Here's your little...
I think I pressed the wrong button.
Well, there's the black one and the red one. The threshold doesn't matter because the black one is just a prompt and the red one's continuous. It only matters on this exercise because you want it to be continuous. I never use the black one because I just use the red as a prompt anyway. So we'll take Mr. B down. Shh! Bailey!
Place. Good. Let's go.
So this time, stage 1 is where you walk up and you just pause. Okay, and wait, and then you say place. You went on stage 2, but that's not,
Sorry.
that's alright, but I would,
Go back.
if I didn't explain that then.
Yeah.
So he knows all the stages, so it's really for yourself to get used to the button, because if you race on, you're kind of thinking, what do I do next, what do I do? So you just wait, place.
Yeah.
As soon as that last pause on, you're going to say good, and then give him the treat. There's no rush to get the treat in there.
Right.
He knows it's coming.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you have to tell him off for anything. If you say no or whatever, he knows there's a consequence. You don't have to do it within a certain amount of time, whatever the consequence is, if he needs it. Because he knows the procedure, the training, he knows it. So you just say good and then give him his treat. So relax a wee bit more and take your time. Doesn't matter how slow you think you're going, try and slow it a little bit more. But other than that, it's perfect.
Place. Good.
So you'd always anchor at this stage yourself at the side here,
Right.
okay? And because you're sort of, that's stage 3, and he's aware of all the patterning. So I would just stay
Make
there
sure
and
it's
relax, and then say, "Let's go." So yes. So you saying your "let's go" is really important because that's your release. He's not allowed off unless he gets that release. But see, it looks pretty straightforward when it's demonstrated, but he's trying to put everything together. But in a way it doesn't matter because you've got all the instructions and your videos and you'll get this as well.
We've got each other to correct each other.
That'll be fun.
It's practical everything on that chicken now.
Okay, so just take your time, relax.
Place.
So you're good first and then that's it.
Let's go.
That's very good. Now,
Stuart Lala.
when?
It's a walk by.
Not right now,
No, but when? At some point.
probably.
Yeah.
We'll just like Kat, and in fact, just do a couple of stage 2s, and then Karen she'll be ready to come in and just
Okay.
practice the
So
stage
this
1.
is without the pause.
It's without everything else apart from the pause.
Place. Good.
As soon as that 4th pause on,
Right past again.
that's alright, that'll be stage 3. But you see how settled he is.
Yeah.
He just needs to get to know that you guys are doing the same thing, because if he thinks they're a wee bit woolly here, he'll
No,
start trying
we
to
want
push boundaries.
consistency,
So once you practice with him, he'll start to understand. There will be a time where he'll maybe go back a bit because he's thinking, you know, timing. But that's okay. You've taught yourself the timing, but just give yourself a bit of a break that you'll catch up with him. That's all right. And then just say, "Let's go."
Let's go.
Right, Karen, your turn.
Right, okay.
So can you remember?
I know.
Walk up, pause, and pressing the button at the same time. And when his last leg goes on, release the button. And
Say good. As soon as that last leg's on, say good. So it's kind of like you have to watch behind you a little bit. Good. So you don't have to go good because he knows you can stand up tall and then turn round and then give him this.
Please.
So that was slow on the good.
Right,
Okay, it has to be as soon as the last paw hits that.
right.
Okay, so the reason will become clear when we get to stage 3. So give him his wee treat. Did you get one?
no.
Should I put some in my pocket and then I've always got monkey things in my pocket. Nice and with food.
Bits and pieces.
Yeah.
Did you give him his wee bit?
Oh no, he knows it doesn't he?
He's like, wait a minute, that did my work. And then just say, let's go.
Let's go.
Okay, so take your time, break it down. You're going to walk up, stop a foot in front, and breathe.
I'm ignoring him.
Please.
Good. As soon as that last pause on.
Let's go.
So you need to be very, use this as almost like a relaxing exercise. But I know you guys are uptight because you're learning, but try very hard to break it down and be calm and breathe. Okay, so have another go.
Please.
And face him.
Slow
So you can bring your
down.
shoulders up.
Ginger my button.
Try not to bend down to him. That's it. And then just turn around and look at something there. Pretend he's not there.
Right.
Just drop your hand and relax, but wait before. So you're going to stand like this. You're standing like that. Stand like this.
I like this and then relax.
Okay.
Look at the lovely lock
Look.
picture.
There's Nancy. And then just say,
Let's go. Let's go.
and wander off. Don't pay too much attention to him.
Right.
He'll come along with you. If you're too, it's kind of like this.
Yeah.
He'll know that's a bit of a weakness and he'll start playing up. So if you just casually go along, this is what I do, you're there at the end of it. If he feels he's getting your full attention, he'll play on that a little bit.
Right.
He's just relax into it because he'll be picking up anxiety from it, okay? So this time I want you to do stage 2, which is you just take out the pause, but you say place at the same part of the exercise as you did before.
And press the button.
Mhm.
Press it when you say the word and release it once his last foot's on.
Perfect.
Please.
Good, as soon as his last pause on. You'll start to be aware of where everything has to be done. Now, face that window and relax. And when you're relaxed enough, you're going to say let's go and move towards the door. This door.
Let's go.
Perfect.
I'm gonna nip over and get this thing. What size do you want?
Wee one,
A baby one.
please.
Let's.
Remember your goods. And relax. Because he's going to be feeding off your energy. He's actually doing really well considering he's not seen you in a month. And he's excited to see you.
Yeah.
But he would prefer to work with you.
Yeah.
That tells you something about his headspace. So if he starts mucking about with you when you go home, then you need to look at yourselves with that, okay? Just go straight into business as usual stuff. And then, let's go. Just walk. Let's go.
Let's go.
That's his release off. Now give him time to catch up because what he was lying down there, he was chilling, which is what you're training him to do anyway. So when you're saying, and I know I'm saying don't look at him and all the rest of it, but just say let's go and be aware of where he is, so you're not pulling him off. You want him to do everything with you.
Right.
If he feels it's all been done to him, he'll not like it very much. Bailey, here's a monkey. Right, let me show you stage 3. Okay? Have a seat. Is that fire on?
Hands
We're
are
warm
warm.
in here. Right, so this is stage 3, and this is why it's really important to say good as soon as his fourth ball's on. Okay? I'll just use it in my left hand, although it should be in the right too, because it's
So for all the trading, it's a number 2. It's only when you're kind of in a street situation where you can see that it's going to, you know.
well, at the moment, what we're doing, this is the learning phase. So it's a number 2, and you keep your finger on the button until you get the behaviour. For instance, on, place, or into sit. Once you've done that a couple of weeks, you would move on to the understanding phase, which is a prompt. So you would just on off to get the behaviour. So you prompt for place instead of holding, prompt for the sit instead of holding at the low level.
Yeah.
After you've done that a couple of weeks, the last 2 weeks is the correction phase. So you don't do anything with this. You'd say place. If he didn't, you go up to 4 or 5, hold until you get the because he knows and he will definitely know. But it'll give you a chance to become familiar with the collar. And what's really important is recall in the house. I'll show you that near the end. It's going to be important for you to be able to dial up when you're out if you're running with him, because you'll be doing the hunt exercise. It's when he sees something, you wait for him to let his prey drive kick in, and then you start from a 2, and while you're pressing and holding, you're dialing up. And you know you've got far enough when he turns back to you, and then you'll have to have something to give him a wee bit payment, because otherwise you'll be like, well, why am I bothering coming back to you, because I could kill a rabbit.
Karen's got us 2 new bags, haven't you? Right.
So that's where you're dialing up, and then in the street it's something different. If you see a dog and you're tap at 2, which is I'm here, I'm with you, you're fine. And then if you find he's sort of loading, you're going to go higher. So 3, 4, 3, 4. And there's something called the buddy bee where you can, and I've never really used it on him, I've never needed to, but you can go 2, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 2, and just keep buzzing until he either settles down or, you know, whatever. We'll talk about that later on, but this is the learning phase. So stage 3 is a 2. You know, he wouldn't have been aware of this until it was a 5 or a 6, and that's how normal dog trainers with the e-collar will train them when they see a visible response to the e-collar. But I always think if you give them enough time and repeat it at a low level, they start to fathom there's something happening here quite repetitively, because it's so gentle. They have to dial down in their heads to become aware of it. And one of the ways I realise that they actually understand that a 2 works is if he's out in front of me and I will take away my verbal recall and I just tap the button at a 2 and he'll come back to me. So he's feeling that as the language. And that allows you another 98 levels. So why start at 6 when you can start at 2? Okay, so stage 3 is this. Tell me what the difference is here. Place. Good. What's the difference?
I remember seeing the video like this.
I know it's like blank.
You know, I can't.
I'll
just
do it
looking at
again.
You didn't see a difference the first two. There
Let's
was no
go.
pause. You
You
won't.
had the. You already had it under.
Have a look again. Place. Good.
You're pressing the black button instead of the red.
No. What I'm doing is instead of coming and saying good here and stopping, I'm walking to the end of the map. And then coming back and giving him this cheek. Now the reason is that I'm starting to detach myself from him. And that's why it's important you say good here as soon as he's supposed to pause on. Because if you don't, he'll come off the other side. Because I want him to know that good here means that you're dead on target.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go further on. So he knows in his head, she shared this information with me, so I'm in the right place. She can do what she likes over there, but I know I'm in the right place. And then I come back in
So
and...
it was stage 2, but you just carried on.
Let's go. So it's called successive approximation. When you teach something, you teach it at its most basic stage, and you just add on a tiny little bit more of the exercise each time. And it's good for you because he'll start to learn that you know this and all the rest of it. But it's also good for him because if you asked him in at stage 4 or 5, when he hadn't done 2 or 3, he would find that difficult. So we are giving him every opportunity to learn to get it right, which is really nice for him, you know, because he doesn't feel that way. So here we go. I'll show you again. Place. Good. See, there's no rush to give the treat. You knew it was coming. Dogs aren't daft. You know, they say, oh, give it another so many seconds, which is true at the beginning of some exercises when they're just learning, but after that, they know. Let's go. Right, who's next for stage 3?
I don't mind. I don't want to keep jumping in front of the queue here.
Well, we'll just keep it the order that we're going in. Okay?
I'm a bit bigger-handed now. Place. Good.
So, you need to go a little bit more on time with the good and further forward. But take your time. I know you're trying to remember everything. And you will take your time when you're at home because you're not in this sort of artificial environment learning things. But break it down in your head. Okay, so he's on, that's good. We'll have to walk forward, that's fine. Oh, and then I'm going to come back in and... Okay. Shh, you're a monkey.
He's busy watching Trish.
Did you say let's go, Tim?
Oh no, I didn't.
That's really key because as far as he's concerned,
Yeah,
he's doing it
That's
wrong.
his release, yeah.
But listen, at the end of the day, this is just dog training. So if you get it wrong, big deal.
It's gonna
No,
You just do it again until you get it right.
Yeah, we need more practice than these ones.
Well, that's right. That's why there's one-to-ones midway and all the rest of it. So don't give yourselves a break. Don't, you know, you're going. But if you don't make mistakes, then you can't correct them. It's really good because you've got a tape of mistakes so that if it happens again, you can look back and say, what did I do to fix it? So, you know, you're not going to do him any damage by making mistakes. Just dog training. Don't get all het up about that. And he already knows his stuff. So. Bailey.
Place. Good.
Now go back to your anchor before you give him it. So that would be here. So there's something called a predictability loop when you're training dogs because it allows them to understand and predict what's happening next when you mash it up a little bit, they're kind of like,
Mm.
oh, I don't know what to, you know, they feel much more secure when they see repetition, which you'll get when you go home.
Let's go.
Perfect. Once more on stage 3.
Thanks.
Wee bit slow with the good.
Good.
And also, when you know that you're slow with stuff or you've missed stuff out, that's you learning. It's
Yeah.
when you don't realise it, you're kind of kicking yourself going, oh, I'm slow, I should have said that. That's good because you know that that's what should have happened.
Let's go.
Nice. Okay, Karen.
We've been trying to practice with our voices as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We haven't been monitored.
I think we're really a bit, you know.
The crazy dulcet tones of the Bowerbank. Let's go.
Yeah, that's what we've been doing. We've been,
He'll adapt. He's a good boy. But he'll adapt.
well, we need to adapt. Yeah.
You know. Shh. You monkey.
Is it in there? Okay.
I know.
Carry on.
Ah, yeah.
So I'll coach you through this one. If you release
Yeah.
him, let's go.
Let's go.
Really important to release, otherwise he'll just get off
He'll
willy
start
nilly.
doing, yeah.
So you're going to walk up, and in front of it you're going to say place. Look at that last paw going on. As soon as it goes on, you say good and release the button. You walk to the end. Okay? So slowly on you go.
Should you have the button on now, though?
No, only when you say place. So anytime you're given an instruction, that's
Yeah.
when you have the button. If you
Right.
had the button on now, you wouldn't know what the reason was. That'll start to all fit into place once we do the other exercises. Okay, because it's always when you give a command, button on. Okay? So slowly walk up, say place now,
Okay.
good.
Good.
Walk to the end,
I didn't do the button.
come back, then give him his treat. Okay? So just break it down and stay where you are just now and breathe. Just release that. Just breathe and relax. Face here. Then you're going to say, let's go and take him off here.
Let's go.
I think when we go home, we're going to do this to each other without Bruce.
Yeah.
So don't want to mess up what's been done. Kind of
Yeah.
get the repetition on each other.
It's a good exercise to do.
You
to
like
get
wearing
into.
it? Colour.
Well,
A lot of couples do that. They'll, even the leash pop thing, they'll do it with each other, so they get it right first before
Yeah.
you do it.
Yeah.
separately. That's good for us. Yeah. Place.
Place.
Good. Good. Walk here. Walk back. Give his cheek. Stand and relax. Breathe. Then say, let's go, and you come up here.
Let's go.
Okay. Very good. Just needs practice.
Yeah, well.
Right, so stage 4. So he's like, yeah, I don't know places. This is good for me. Stage 4 is the difference that we're going to start distracting him a little. So we still have this to. If I show it to you, you'll see when I press a button it goes red there. That's why I'm holding it up to you. Okay, place. Good. So just repeat stage 3, and with him, you know, what you would do initially is just hold the leash and walk round, but, you know, I expect him to hold it unless he's really going to rebel against me. Sometimes you do a one-to-one midway through, and because they're so excited, they can lose it, and it's almost like they've learnt nothing. But he's been here and done this quite a lot. So he's not losing it, and he's shown that his learning's in place. So he's lying down. He knows he's not to come off.
Yeah.
He's doing his job because I've asked him to do that. He's like, I'm doing my job. This is my job. And you would tie a bit of paracord to that so you could lengthen it. Reason being, if he does come off, you can just guide him back on. I've just dropped it because I'm kind of sure that he won't come off. But if you don't have the leash and he's coming up, you can end up chasing him around the house. So you only do this part for a wee while, but just enough for him to get used to you moving around him. And then get your leash. No, the tickle tum tum.
Here, there it is. There. That's my tummy. It is. That's my legs. Good boy.
So don't leave him too long initially because he needs to know that you're still involved in the exercise. Let's go. And you see it comes up.
Hi, Mom.
So that's stage 4, and then you start introducing other things like banging on doors and whatnot, and he should be hanging on place while that's happening. Now, if you find that he's starting to get off for any reason, then you say no and hold the button at a higher level and guide him back on. So you don't say place again. Okay. So who's going to go on and do this? Well, it'll be you. And then we'll move on from place before. Maybe it's 2. Go on with it. So just give a wee pop and walk him forward. Ignore the fact that he's like trying to sook him with mum.
Place.
So you have to go
Good.
straight on from where you were. So remember, we've been doing it from here to there to there. Try not to go from an angle unless you're going to switch it around, go from there to there. Because we're trying to give them that experience of the predictability. We go here, you stay on, and then we're going to walk round.
Okay.
So continue to walk round. Karen, up we get. Let's see what happens. Put your e-collar up to a 4.
I'm putting.
Oh, so there's a wee dial.
Where's the number?
So there we go.
Oh, it says it there.
I can't see it from here. Can you
2,
see?
3, 4. Yeah, it's on 4.
So I expect he's going to try and get off here. So you hold that and we're going to go round. If he gets off, you're going to say no. Put your finger on the red button, hold him on until he
Yep.
comes on. Okay, he's holding it tight there. Okay, what I'd ask now is for you to say the release word and take him off.
Let's go.
Nice. Because we didn't want to push him too far
Yeah.
where he was going to fail. But I think he understands how that works, that correction. But he should be able to hold place and us go outside. But he's very excited about being around. You in particular must be the softer energy area.
No, I am, yeah.
Yeah.
I just changed it when I walked around there.
Okay, that's good.
I tried to anyway.
Because that'll set him back if you're, you know, you can have, we talked about love and hugs and things like that when he's nice and calm, but we're teaching him just now to be independently confident, so away from you and confident. So say for instance, I was wanting him to work on place and I was working another dog and I don't want him getting off and interfering either with the other dog or me having to chase him about. That's where we have the tie, and I think I showed you this. So we tie him back, so on the back of his leash we'll loop that and he'll be on place there, and I'll be doing stuff, whatever it is, kitcheny stuff or doggy stuff. So that means that if he does come off place, I'm not having to dive about, and also he'll not get very far and he'll be like, oh, I don't get very far, may as well stay on place. And that just reaffirms to him that it's not worth jumping off, and there's going to be times that he's going to do that. He will, because that's what they do. And when you introduce your distractions in your home, where you go out and bang the door and all the rest of it, you're going to have to go out, maybe stand 1, 2 and then come back in, and then you give him the treat or his food for being a good boy. Go out again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, come back in. But there'll be a time when you'll have an idea that he's off, and that's when you put the collar up and you hold the correction. Come on, you just say nope, you put him back on again. But if he's just sitting there, he'll just willy-nilly get off himself without being tied back. But he's fed up now, he's like, I'm lying down. We can come back to that. I don't want to bore him too much with the place thing, because you've got enough of what should happen.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of you working through it and then introducing the distractions. And if we do that right now, it's beyond what you're used to, and he'll know that, and then we have to then battle with him getting off and going on and that. But he does hold place really well. He's a good wee boy, and the behavioural down allows you to have him down beside you and relaxed. But if you can, as much as possible, have him away from you and relaxed, because it's really good for his mental health. Okay, so let's move on, and I'll just show you the sit. Obedience is really good, and when you're training, I think I've said, if you do a bit at a time, let me see, because it can be draining on the dogs, and we need them to learn and give them enough time for it to sink in. So this is a bit a speedway for him, because he's like, oh, I'm starting to get tired now. But you would do 5 minutes of threshold a few times a day, let him have a rest, 5 minutes of place, let him have a rest. But there'll be a time where you find that he likes place, and you can have him on place and tied back, but the actual exercise of going on and off is still important to go through the stages. But he'll lie on place for a good couple of hours while you're working, if you need him to. I mean, I've never had him, because we're so dynamic in here, we've never had a couple of hours on the whole for him to be down, but he's quite comfortable. What do you want a drink? Want a drinky dinky? What you're looking for? Okay, so I'm just going to take him into the sit and proof it. So I know you've probably sat before, but we're going to use the least pressure and the button, the red button. Okay? So I walk them. If you ask for a sit when they're already standing still, sometimes their brain kind of freezes and locks up. So it's always better to get them in motion where they're, thinking forward. Okay? So here we go. Sit. So we ask for the sit and a little pressure upwards until he sits down, and then I release the button. And then I say good. And he gets his balance. Yeah, try and keep your 4 legs on the ground. Okay, and I'll just do the proofing of this, and then you can take over. Let's go. Release word. Okay, so I never say stay, because the last command they're in is the one that they should hold.
Billy.
That puppy looks really innocent, but he is a terror. He's had his family in tears.
A new arrival.
He's only here for a couple of days. Actually, a girl I used to work with. He's a horror. Very, very pushy. So they're coming tomorrow to get help with him. I think they're directing. Sit. Good. So he's down. I'm going to say good, but I'm not going to give him his treat right now. I'm going to do this. You'll remember this video maybe. I'm going to proof him. So I don't mind that he's gone down.
What do you mean proofing?
So that means proofing, a bit like going around the place and testing if he'll come off.
Okay.
That's proofing it. So right now we're proofing whether or not he's going to hold a sit and stay where he is, which is okay. He's gone down. I don't mind that. But if you walk, you start off walking a couple of steps this way and a couple of steps that way, and then giving his treat, and then you'll take him and do sit again, and then you'll do 3 steps this way and 3 steps that way. And the trickiest bit is to walk behind them, because then they lose sight of you and their food. So that's when they tend to get up out of their sit position. But if they do that, they shouldn't really do that, because you've done 2 there, and you've tested it and increased it. So they should learn to hold it. But if they do get up, you would just put your e-collar up to say a 4. So if you got up, I say no, pressure upwards, and then hold it until they went back down into a sit. Good. Okay, so who wants to do the sit?
I'm getting massive feelings of being proud as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
I'm getting all this stuff. I'm trying to get rid of it.
You can feel proud, that's good. Say good and give him his treat.
Yeah. I did the good, I didn't have it. But you said that's not, we don't need to the instant as it the treat, as long as the good is.
Yeah. As long as he gets it while he's in learning stage, as long as you keep giving him something, because he'll lose interest if there's no. Eventually, he'll be so programmed that the minute you say good, he'll be salivating as if he's had a treat.
He's come
He'll
off.
feel like he's had a treat.
He's come off sick. Oh, can I have that on it?
That's alright. But you weren't really proofing it then. You'd come out, so and I was talking to you,
Yeah.
so it doesn't matter. So do it again.
Let's go.
And take your time.
Sit.
Brace it up. There, nice.
Good. One for the treat.
Oh.
Probably came off foot. My fault.
That's alright.
Yes.
Just give him it anyway because he did his work.
Good.
Okay, so let's do that again. I'll be here. Well,
I'll take one here. Are you ready? Let's go.
brace
Good.
it up.
I'm missing on the pressure up.
Yeah, but you'll add that because you know you're missing on it. So don't worry about it. And don't do the proofing just now until you get your sit right. When you go home, then once you get the sit, you'll say the good but no food and do the steps back and forward. But once you get into the swing of that.
Yeah.
Okay, Karen?
You got sweet treats in your pocket
No,
already?